Rivoli with Potomac Beads. Join me in making this Compass Pendant featuring our QuadBow beads and some DropDuo beads. If you need any of the supplies, check out the links below to shop with us online. Gather everything up and we'll get started. To begin, I have my materials laid out here, 3 QuadBows in the metallic Aqua. I'm going to be using the DropDuos, and these are in the Aztec gold color. A 14mm Rivoli, and this one is the black diamond opal. So that black diamond color with that opal finish kind of has this cool blue color. And then some 15-0 Toho beads in the gold lined rainbow crystal. Really nice color pop on it. We're going to begin for our pendant on the actual DropDuo beads, and I want to string on my thread and needle 8 of my DropDuos. In between each one of these DropDuos, I'm going to be stringing 5 Toho Seed Beads. I have a stop bead on 0.006 wildfire beading thread, and I'm using a size 12 needle. Step 1 is to add a total of 8 DropDuos through the larger side with 3 15-0 seed beads between. Pick up the next DropDuo and 3 more 15s. You're going to continue this again until you have 8 on your thread and needle. And then what we're going to do is round it out to create our interior form. Once you have your second or your 8 on, you want to make sure that you're ending with 3 of your 15-0 seed beads. For our second step, we're going to round this out and then jump up to the second hole in our DropDuo. So I'm going through that first hole to create that nice loop, which will be bigger than the Rivoli because this is going to be the exterior or the bottom. We're going to step up here as part of step number 2 to go in and connect all of our points of our DropDuo. And when we connect the points of our DropDuo, we're going to add 2 beads in between. So we're going to, coming out of that first DropDuo, we're going to add 2 15-0s and sew through the next one of our DropDuos. These are going to turn the DropDuos in towards the center, which is going to be the points that hold it together. So you're going to see kind of a reverse action happening where the points start to turn in and the bottom portion turns out. So again, we're going around the whole thing, adding in 2 seed beads and connecting the top hole of the DropDuo with 2 seed beads. Once you get all 8 connected, this will sit towards the interior of the piece, and we're going to move on then to adding another row yet of our DropDuo beads. Coming back to the middle then, connecting this second bead, I want you to go back through your first DropDuo that you were coming out of, as well as the next 2 15s, and also then on to the next DropDuo. Once you're out the next DropDuo, not the 15-0, we're going to go ahead and do a step up, or a step down if you want to call it that in this one. I'm going to step through my DropDuo as well as the first 2 seed beads that are after it and out. That's going to create the interior that's going to hold in my Rivoli, and now we're going to get another row of our DropDuos that are going to be on the outside of our compass. For our next step, we are going to add another row of our DropDuos. Coming out through the middle bead there, and we're always going to be catching on the middle bead in those groups of 3, I want you to add 2 of your 15s, another one of your DropDuo through the thicker side hole, and 2 more 15s. You're then going to sew in to that middle bead from the next section of seed beads between the DropDuos. 2 15s get added, 1 more DropDuo, 2 15s, and then you're sewing through the next middle seed bead in that group of 3. This is going to set this second row of DropDuos right above the first. This is then going to be turned over just like in the front, and that's going to create that nice bezel to hold our Rivoli in place between the edges there. I'm going to repeat this 8 times till I have on all 8 of my drop duos to complete almost a second row here, creating that sun look for the compass. For our next step here, as I add my 8th and final bead, I'm going to go through that first 15-0 that my thread was originally coming out of before I started adding this second row of my beads. And once I come out of there, again, you have kind of that little star effect almost going on. We're going to do one more step up. So I'm going to go through my 2 15-0s, and I'm also going to go through my first hole there of the first drop duo. So we're coming out of the first hole of the first drop duo that we added in this group of 8. We're going to step up to the top hole there, and we're going to turn these toward the back. As we turn these toward the back, this creates our second portion of our bezel to hold our piece in place. We're going to repeat the exact same thing that we did, going in and adding these together. To add them together, you're going to do 2 of your 15-0s, and then again, sew through to the next. So this creates our bezel. So this step here, creating the bezel, we add 2 seed beads between each one of our second holes of our second row of our drop duos. I'm going to continue adding till I have all 8 attached, and then I'm going to reinforce going through that loop one more time just to hold my Rivoli in nice and tight towards the center. Once you're finished with that back there, you can see how easy this creates such a pretty nice bezel. If you wanted to, this is a great way to make a stud or even a bracelet to match your pendant. These would be great little earrings that you can wear and expand on now with the quad bows if you want to continue. To continue, I want to step up to the top hole of my last row here of those interior drop duos. Coming out that bottom hole of one of the drop duos, I'm going to step up to the outer holes there. Stepping out of the outer hole, we're going to link a quad bow basically over the top of our next drop duo. To do so, I want you to add 1 and 2 15-0 seed beads. Then you're going to pick up your first quad bow. When you pick up your first quad bow, you're going to go into hole number 1. Go ahead and add 3 15s to the top. Sew down hole number 2 of that same quad bow. Coming out there, grab 1 15-0. Sew through your next drop duo. So right there, just adding 1 15, sewing through the quad bow, or through the drop duo rather. Add 1 more 15. Go up through the third hole of the quad bow, 3 more 15s, down through hole number 4. So you're basically zigzagging through the holes as you connect to the drop duos below. Once you're out through that last hole, I want you to add 1 and 2 of your 15s, and then sew into what is now the third drop duo bead. In between our quad bows, I want you to add 1 more of your drop duos. This is what's going to create kind of that compass look when you're looking at it. Go ahead and add 2 of your 15s, 1 more of your drop duo, and 2 15s. I'm adding the drop duo on through the largest portion or the fatter bottom portion of the hole. Coming out that third one of the drop duos, I'm going to sew back into that same third drop duo. And that brings my first point there. We'll call that north. From here, we're going to continue the exact same thing, adding on our next quad bow, 2 15s, go through the first hole of the quad bow from the interior arch towards the exterior, and then again repeat 3 15s on, down through hole number 2. Once you're out hole number 2, add 1 of your 15s, go through the drop duo that sits below. And as you come out that drop duo that sits below, add one more 15 and up hole number 3. 3 more beads, down hole number 4. And once you're out hole number 4, then go ahead and add 2 more 15s and into the next drop duo in line. When I'm out that next drop duo, then I'm going to, coming out of it, add 2 more 15s, the drop duo with the big side facing down, as well as 2 more 15s, and then circle back up through that same drop duo bead. So we're always connecting to the larger hole. Here's the back view. You're always connecting to the larger hole of this back row of your drop duos. I'm going to continue on till I have on all 4 quad bows, as well as back at the starter one here, adding 1 more drop duo in its place. Once you add the last drop duo in there, you're going to be coming out that first drop duo from the back, that bigger side here, that you were in when you started to add your quad bows. What we're going to do now is a very simple ending of connecting all of these seed beads along the outer edge to finish out that compass look. I'm going to take my thread and needle, and I'm going to go back up through my first one of my quad bows. So you're going to go back up through those 15s along the side, as well as up to the top and out. Once I'm up to the top here and out, I'm going to sew through the 3 seed beads that are there. I'm going to add 2 more seed beads, sew through the next 3 seed beads, and then I'm going to add 6 seed beads and connect onto the open hole of my drop duo. Now if you want to, you could add some more crystals along this outer edge. That's kind of up to you. Once I have those 6 beads on, I'm sewing through the next hole of that open drop duo. 6 more beads go on, and I'm through the first 3 of the next quad bow. Again, once I'm out that quad bow, 2 go on and into the next 3. Now I'm using Toho 15-0s. If you're using Miyuki, you might need 1 more bead in the center there, just because they're slightly smaller. If you start to notice that your beads are gapping or that it's starting to have a curvature to it, you want to relax it and make sure that it is not having that curvature. If you want the curvature, that's fine to make it a little bit 3-dimensional. But if you happen to want a little crystal on the top there or a crystal on the side here, just make sure as you're doing it to kind of lay your piece down, flatten it out, and make sure that it's not pulling in any direction. I'm going to continue on adding in my 6 beads and then my 2 between my quad bows up till I get back to the start. My final step as I come around and add my last 6 beads on is to make my bail. Now if you want to add, you can add the bail so that your compass is pulling straight north. I'm going to add my bail at the top of my first quad bow bead. So I'm going to sew through the first 3 beads, and I'm going to exit through those 2 beads that I added in the middle. Once I'm exiting through those 2 beads there, I'm going to grab 2 more beads. So back through those same 2 beads there and out. We're going to do a simple ladder stitch as our bail. So back through the 2 you just added and add 2 more. Once you add 2 more beads, you're sewing back through the 2 that your thread's coming out of from the opposite direction. That forces the 2 you just added to lay right on top. And you're going to sew through the 2 that you just added. So you can add your next one. I'm going to go ahead and make my bail so that I have about 10 rows of my ladder stitch. Once your ladder stitch section is done, it is time to attach and create the bail. So I have between 8 and 10 that I'm going to do. I'm coming out of my last ladder stitch here. Normally you're going to attach to the 2 beads that are already there. I'm going to, with a thread coming out to the top there, go to hole number 2 in my quad bow and bring that bail down toward the back. I'm going to simply sneak over into hole number 3 and bring my thread and needle out. If you want to, you can put a little seed bead there, so that way it hides the thread, but you're really not going to see it. Go ahead and sew back through those final 2 beads in your ladder stitch. So tighten that up, and then again, back down through your quad bow. This time when I come back down through the quad bow, I'm coming through the 15-0, as well as then that second hole of the drop duo to the back. I'm going to step down to the first hole of that and reinforce this back in the middle here the whole way till I get to my starter thread. Once I get to my starter thread, then I'm going to take off the extra bead and tie my thread and needle toward the back. So again, I'm kind of snaking through the back here, catching on the beads, bringing it out right toward that stop bead. Bring that stop bead toward the back. And if it's tucked in there and you can't get to it, not a big deal. Just leave it in there. Or you can pull it toward the back. Get your thread and needle in a nice place here. We can tie the knot that you don't really see in the back of the design. Super nice and easy, very little materials. You're going to go in now with your thread burner, burn that down, and your compass is finished and completed and ready to wear. Thanks so much for watching this compass pendant. Hopefully it gave you some ideas to use up some of your quad bow beads, as well as maybe introduce you to a great 2-hole bead, the DropDuo. It's been around for a while, but I think it's underutilized. If you do need any of the materials to do this pendant, keep in mind you can click below the video for a full link to all of the products from PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. Remember also, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button. I know a lot of you don't subscribe. If you hit that, it helps to build this beading community so that way more people get to enjoy in the Potomac Beads experience. As always, you can comment below. That also helps out our beading community at large to know any modifications you made, any ideas you might have, color suggestion choices, and answering any questions that maybe you as a community member can actually answer and instruct someone else on. As always, thank you so much for watching and enjoy your new compass necklace.